MGD with a moderate dry eye comes over to the OPD, what would be your general line of treatment for that patient? I mean, which drops are you prescribing? One, we know that Luvimost Ultra goes in well. What other drops do you think you are prescribing as a primary treatment? Matters case to case?
It doesn't really matter. So on the table, I'll give them. So if I get some samples, I give it to the patient. It really doesn't matter. What I tell them with MGD is more importantly, I'll tell them do warm compress. So I find, HPMC and CMC work much better than sodium hyaluronate in these patients. I would give it to them only at a later stage if this doesn't help. So for me, the first line of treatment would be a very basic drops.
Basic lubricating drops and heat and massage once a day.
Warm fermentation twice a day. 10 minutes with massage. That helps more than any of the lubricants, because if you tell them to put also, they'll say, I put 1 drop in the night. That is exactly what they'll do. Even if you say right 4 times, I'll say I just put 1 drop in the night.
In general, in dry eye patients, we have so many molecules now, and sometimes the science is, defied. So there are some patients will be happy with one, not happy with the other. So very often I give them all the different options, or as madam said, you can give them samples and to try out all the various combinations, because these patients are anyway feeling unhappy with, whatever we are doing at times. So they will come to a point, so I tell them, if you feel better with this one, you can, sort of continue with that. If you're not happy, go to the one you were using earlier. So I think sometimes a trial and error thing helps me. With science, we can say, okay, this one will work better here, that one works better in that condition, but practically it may not always hold true, So I give them all the options, a little bit rotate at times, and let them come to a also decision what helps them better, and maybe continue with that.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Today I'm going to talk to you about the role of newer combinations. And as you all know, already emphasized again and again by different speakers, it's basically a vicious circle, because the lead margin changes will subclinical or clinical apparent inflammation is there in the margin. So epithelial damage, and there will be loss of function. So the nerve structure and function will change, and ultimately again it will cause failure of tear film stability and its function. So we see the patients in the similar way. They become little better, again calm, again complain. And especially I've seen a lot of post-operative cataract patients. They have the similar complaint that, sir, khatak to nahi gaya, fayda kya operation karke? Abhi bhi khatak ho raha hai. There are 2 very important complaints. All the cataract patients always tell you, ya to kala kala dikhta hai, urti si koi cheez dikh raha hai, ya khatak ho raha hai. So you will always evaluate these patients and do pre-operative OCT, anterior segment OCT if possible, and also the macular OCT in all cases of cataract, what I do. And also I evaluate the dry eye, and if need be, we give treatment to those patients. This is the basic, you all know, on the components of the tear film, which produced by the surface epithelium, lacrimal gland, conjunctival goblet cells that lubricate as well as it protects from any inflammation. Now come to the medicines. What are the medicines we can give? The role of sodium hyaluronate, which stabilizes the bilipid membrane and keeps labile proteins from desiccation and prevents oxidative damage, promotes the epithelial or corneal healing. So most of the things are already being covered by my previous speakers. So I'm just repeating maybe some of them. Please bear with me. There are some studies like Chen and all. The author concluded that 0.1% of sodium hyaluronate eye drops in patients with dry eyes aids the temporary recovery of the corneal surface, regularity and stability of the tear film. They have seen that 0.1% of sodium hyaluronate had a significant effect for the first 10 minutes after the treatment. Now, the efficacy of PEG and PG, as you are telling. So, PEG and PG eye drops in reducing the squamous metaplasia. So, in this phase 4 single lump open level study, the dry eye disease patients had less than 18, more than 18. It is more than 18 or 18 with a corneal staining with some score of more than 3 and tear film breakup time less than 7 seconds. So they have put the drops 3 times a day for a period of 3 months. And the results are quite encouraging. The T-Butt improved, everything was satisfactory. So 2E clinical evaluation of the safety of PEG-PG in some contact lens wearing patients. They also found equally good results. It provided evidence of safety and compatibility with the lubricant eye drops, and they didn't have any side effects. Now, in case of corneal surgeries or in case of cataract surgeries, in those who are undergoing DSEC, they have put these medicines and they found encouraging results in DSEC patients as well. Now, the treatment of these patients after cataract surgery is also very important, and fixed combination only antibiotic and steroid and or NSAIDs will not be sufficient. It may prevent the temporary symptoms, but actually until unless you add, I think all of you add, do you agree with me? Do you add this medicines in your post-operative regime? Anybody who is not adding? Please raise your hand if anybody is not adding the medicine. Do you give lubricants in all post-op cases? I think all of us we give. It's a routine now. And we find that the results are very encouraging. So, protecting the ocular surface and improving the quality of life of dry eye patients is very important. And the study of efficacy of hydroxypropyl guar containing ocular lubricant in a population of dry eye patient were studied. The improvements of ocular surface staining the dry eye symptoms with first follow-up visit, that is after 7 days, and continued throughout 28 days of the study with concurrent increase and level greater than unity. The results indicate that it's fast-acting, long-lasting, and effective treatment for dry eyes. It alleviates the signs and symptoms of dry eye as well as affording improved ocular surface protection. Again, another study with 148 patients, the similar results. It increased the Schirmer test value, it increased the tear film breakup time, and ocular surface disease index decreased to normal value by this treatment. So, I'll not continue for a long time to make the whole story very short. As all of you know, that there is a various ocular symptoms like blurring, discomfort, burning sensation, and it really affects the quality of life. Nowadays, after this COVID, everybody is very fond of seeing the mobile and computer and television. So this has increased manifold, especially small children also nowadays. They are doing studies through their mobile. So it's really a big problem, and I think it is going to be an epidemic. This dry eye disease is coming in a very big way. So it is better to be ready, whatever you have, you can have a dry eye setup, that would be still better. Otherwise, at least you should have a knowledge and examine the patients thoroughly and go ahead with this. We normally do T-Butt, we do Schirmer, we do this meibomian gland dysfunction test, and we have the same machine as Sujata has told, and we also get the similar results. So I don't like to extend my talk for a long time. I thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Thank you, sir, for that very informative presentation. And with this, we conclude this session. And thank you, Mankind. And what we know is that there's a new drug in the market, Lubimost Ultra, which has promising results. So I think we all should try it, and we can benefit our patients with this. Thank you so much for attending, and we see you very soon.